Hello everyone, this is Rob, Rocky Mountain Life Prospecting, and I'm finally being able to bring to you guys what I promised a while back, and this is something that's extremely close to my heart, and that's keeping these folks' voices alive and what they've been through in service for our country. Today I bring you one of our interviews of a distinguished U.S. veteran. Here he is. Go.
Okay, hello. Great to be here with an interview with Rob. Basically, I'm a veteran, as you probably well guessed. My name is Richard Lambert. I am originally from Vicksburg, Mississippi, although most of my family's from Texas. I joined the Air Force right out of high school.
Awesome.
My motivations for joining, patriotism was number one.
Yes, sir.
And number two, I realized the importance of education. And I want to get my college education, and it offered a great pathway to make that happen for self-improvement. What did I do in the Air Force? Basically, several different occupations. Did everything from higher headquarters, administration, dealing with offensive and defensive plans, top secret, all that. And I actually retrained in the Air Force, and I've worked in logistics, Air Force logistics, and which is moving people, places, things, equipment, gear, supplies, etc. I've also spent some time in Air Force recruiting because I believe that Air Force and all the military services have played a vital role in our modern day history, as well as the very beginning of our country. And so I've had several different jobs, enjoyed every one of them. I spent 22 and a half years active duty.
Awesome.
And went private sector to work, a couple different jobs, director of financial aid at a four-year college. And then I worked as an employment consultant for a while. And I started missing the people. I started missing the people and the mission of the Air Force, and being around our brothers in blue and sisters in blue, as well as the other services. And I had an opportunity to go back and work for the Department of the Air Force as a federal civilian. And I actually worked almost 18 years as a federal civilian for the Department of the Air Force. And I worked in a number of different capacities during that 18 years. My last 6 were probably my proudest, as I had the opportunity to work with the wing commander at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Awesome. I was one of his division chiefs there at headquarters. And typically a little bit about the 4th Fighter Wing, where it's the home of the F-15 Strike Eagle.
That's awesome.
Which is one of our premier all-weather, air-to-air, air-to-ground type fighter aircraft. And basically since the inception of the 4th Fighter Wing, we've been in every war. We've been the first in typically. And for Desert Storm, we were definitely one of the first aircraft to actually launch. I was out on the tarmac that morning. We first initially were launching, and I think we launched about 22 F-15 Strike Eagles at about 0400 in the morning, 4 a.m. And of course, very dark. And they were hitting the afterburners, and they were taking off in twos, 2 at a time on the runway. And a very, very proud moment. And we went over there basically along with our sister services and took care of the mission and did it in the right way. And a very proud moment, very memorable moment. Long story short, why do you stay in the Air Force? You get in it. I originally thought it was going to be about 4 or 6 years.
Right.
But I love the people. I love the mission. Some of the most impressive people I've ever met in my life have been in the Air Force from all parts of the country, all different areas, different races, creeds, colors, religions. But with the one unifying aspect of us being together was for God and country.
Yeah.
And so that's just a little bit about, my career and what I've done.
That's awesome.
That type thing.
That is awesome. Mr. Lambert, that's just incredible. Now, did your family, were they involved in the military before you?
They were.
Okay.
Long story short, my family, several branches of my family, were the first to come to these shores in a couple of different areas of the country during the colonial days. And so we've basically fought in every war, major engagement. And so as far as my direct family, my father served in the Army, and my adoptive father served in the Army as well.
How about that?
Not to mention a lot of my cousins, uncles. Out of all my uncles in World War II, every one of them served Army and Marines. And we have a proud military tradition in our family.
That is just awesome, and that's something that unfortunately is fading these days. I knew growing up around military bases, it was almost a birthright to continue to fight and serve in some way, shape, or fashion, and that is just awesome. Is there any particular moment or story overseas that you can remember that just really kind of set things off, whether it's a funny moment or just a really intense?
Well, there are numerous stories,
Sure.
Some funny, some not, some serious, etc. But on a serious note, one of my cousins from Texas, he was in the Army in a Humvee, and unfortunately his Humvee was blown up.
God.
And he had a crew of, I believe, 5 in the Humvee, of which I believe they had 2 that died. The other 3 sustained some very, very serious, life-altering injuries. And unfortunately, my cousin, Shiloh, lost his face, lost his ears, and lost fingers, and he had burns on about 70% of his body.
Jeez.
And that's one of the serious situations right there. He made the ultimate sacrifice.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that you'd like to remember while we have this moment?
Like I said,
please do.
There are so many.
There
are so many. Like I said, the camaraderie in the military is pretty much unmatched. You can basically be in society and root for a certain sports team at a college or what have you, but there are no stronger bonds than that of military brother to military brother.
I'm sure a lot of folks watching this can relate as well, and I know brotherhood through EMS, and we're pretty tight, in that as well, and then DHS, but we're a little more spread out than y'all. But man, that is just so you controlled a fighter wing at one time. You were up with them.
I worked for the wing commander that was the top gun at the 4th Fighter Wing. I was just one of his division chiefs, and he had a staff probably of about 15, that worked for him directly, and he was about 2 doors down. And you get to see a different side of the Air Force when you're working at the headquarters level, and as far as how they operate. And it is totally amazing how much they can juggle so many different areas, so many different programs, and pretty much bottom line, do it with perfection and excellence. So it was definitely a great experience that 7 years I spent in that capacity.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's just... so would you say there was any particular area that you enjoyed more during all your service, from when you were enlisted to an officer, so to speak? Is there any, like, say, Germany? I know I hear a lot of guys speak about their great times they had in Germany. And
Germany, I basically started the Air Force along with the rest of the young airmen at the gateway to the Air Force, which is Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. And then I went to technical training at Biloxi in Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
And was Keister Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. And then from there, my first assignment was Japan, Yokota, for 4 years as a young single guy. And it was a lot of fun, and great memories were made. And I also worked at a numbered Air Force at that point, 5th Air Force, and worked for a colonel at that point in time. Very rewarding experience, and many great stories, great things to reminisce on, and that type of situation. Germany was great, no question. Spent some time in Kansas, at Wichita, at McConnell, and that was a great assignment. And did a little bit of recruiting up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And my job was to sell young people and join the Air Force, and that was a very rewarding experience.
Awesome.
Especially when years pass and you wonder what happened to all those recruits, and you run into a few of them, and that was always rewarding. And you see they've made rank and they've done well, they've succeeded, and then the letters you get, as the military can definitely change lives. It really can.
That is awesome. Well, is there anything today that you'd like to maybe say to this younger generation? Why you love your American flag so much, or just more of a sign off? And who knows? Maybe we'll get another interview down the road, catching up to some of the questions that might be left. But it's your mic.
All right. When you look at the flag, you have two choices. You can either look at what's right with the flag and what it represents, or you can look at the negatives, the detractors. Any entity, any civilization has always had pros and cons. I tend to look at the American flag as all the things we've done right. What it represents, the goodness, the best we have to offer. It represents a unifying force for American people, and we're envied by individuals and people all over the world. Because of this flag and what it represents. So I've always been proud of the flag. I've always been proud of our country. I've been honored and graciously fortunate to have served, like I said, almost 40 years, both military and as a Federal Air Force civilian. And that's awesome. I can tell you right now, bottom line, you're best served when you focus on the negative of anything in life, particularly something as important as our nation's symbol, the flag.
Yes, sir. Well, wow. I thank you so much for this time, and, just keeping it alive. People need to remember the sacrifice it's given for what we have. And just the simple freedoms that we take for advantage, we have no concept of how fragile that is. And men like this that are willing to give their life for what so many have given the ultimate sacrifice to keep alive. We thank you all for joining us today. And my brother Richard, thank you very much for spending a few moments with us and just sharing a bit of your story. And we look forward to catching up with you here soon.
All right, Rob, thank you very much, and God bless.
Yes, sir.